Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. Happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much there.
Happy Father's Day to you and you and you and you. All you guys, happy Father's Day.
And to any of you single mothers doing the father thing as well, hey, happy Father's Day to you as well. Yeah, I do the same thing on Mother's Day. To all you fathers out there pulling double duty, happy double Father's Day to you. There. We covered it all. The whole
There you go.
spectrum there. I got to meet Anthony's daughter, Rennie. She's always on the broadcast.
I saw that.
What a just a awesome fighter there. She is such a cool. She was sticking her tongue out at me, and she had blue tongue.
Not blue tongue.
Oh yeah. Addie had blue tongue. Everybody had blue. All the kids had blue, red tongue.
You know it's a good night when you got blue tongue.
Oh yeah. Those slushies were flowing good last night at the dirt track. Thank you very much, Mr. Haldane. Happy Father's Day to you, and happy Father's Day to you as well, Nathaniel. Look at him. He's commenting now. That's my buddy from Benefill's wedding. We met the mutual friend in Benefil.
Okay.
And we hit it off, man. He lives here. We've been hanging out and chatting there. So.
Oh, that's when you were in the machine mode.
Full machine mode. Full machine mode right there. So, yeah, slushies were flowing fantastic. So we'll hop right in.
Hold on, let me comment. Anthony, yeah, I need to get back to the dirt track. I've been to dirt track races,
you've traveled to a lot more tracks really than I have, especially these like down home tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're definitely gonna hit the road.
I miss getting to the dirt track. It's fun. I want to. I was planning this summer before all the COVID and everything happened to definitely hit Eldora. That was one of the main tracks I wanted to go see a race at this summer, but I don't know if that's going to happen now or not.
Right, Nathaniel says he never goes out of machine mode.
Fair enough. That's a valid point. That is a valid point.
Excuse me.
Shout out to NSRL Graveyard Motorsports, finished P19
there you
in
go.
the 24-hour Le Mans. We were just talking about that.
we were absolutely, and it just literally finished. Dave was probably just pulling in. Did you get the final stint there the whole way? That's what I didn't want to know, because I was telling him about like the fuel mapping and stuff to kind of save a little fuel, stuff like that. So hopefully he was able to make it out there. All righty, but so NSRL, those Graveyard Motorsports guys, they got it done. A lot of those iRacers out there, endurance racing this weekend, obviously. Usually I'd be at it.
Yeah.
But not this week with, Father's Day going on. And then.
And I think what you did last night was not knocking iRacing, but I'd much rather be at the track than iRacing.
Yeah, that was memories that will last forever there with my daughter and me. So, yep, he said that helped. Good. They got the whole way, the whole stint.
Anthony says that's on mine and Rennie's bucket list, but there's a catch to this. Rennie wants me to run a car there. That would be cool. That'd be super cool.
Well, she wants to run a car, so that's her goal. Is she wants to get in there sometime.
Legend. Put her in the legend.
I could see her in a quarter midget.
Yeah.
But let's talk about midget racing real quick.
Okay, let's talk about it, because you went last night.
I got a love for dirt now.
That was your first dirt race, wasn't it?
First live dirt race,
Okay.
So Indiana Dirt Midget Week going on. I have been following all week long. I know if anybody knows dirt, they know what hat I'm wearing. Yep. It's pretty obvious there.
You're kind of popped in the middle there. They got to poke it out.
Yeah, we'll get. Oh, wow, yeah. There's major. There we go.
There, now you can see the logo.
So, and I had Addison pick. It's like, all right, I know I'm getting a hat. You just tell me where to go, because we'll pick somebody right now. And she pointed to him, and it was even Mrs. Larson out in the booth selling.
Stand?
Yep, sling.
Okay, so I have to ask, because I've been to other races and bought merchandise stuff. What'd that hat cost you at the dirt track?
$25.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. Because you look at that hat right there that you're wearing, and it's probably what, 30, 35?
Actually, I got it for 25 too, because I found a discount on
code.
Fanatics.
Well, I'm not searching for discounts. Right. I'm at the track. You know what? And we'll go there, because, you talk about a value, man. The concessions weren't expensive. Not what I expected. You have something like this. I figured it was going to be $30-$35.
Right.
So really, to get in then $25. Not a bad deal.
No.
At the dirt track.
And it's a different atmosphere.
Oh,
because you go to like. We'll take Indy, for instance, or even the Brickyard, or, a NASCAR, IndyCar race, something like that. You go to those races, people are there to watch the race, but you have a lot of people there to party for the race.
Oh yeah.
So when you go to like a dirt race like that, they're there to watch it. I mean, of course, they're drinking some beers probably at the concession stand, but for the most part, they're there to see a race.
That's what Dad and I were laughing about because, man, people that go to the concession stand, they come back with a cooler, and the cooler is a bag of ice.
Yeah.
And they got their beers in there. So they go.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, I know. They get it, and they get it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't joke around. It's down there, and they're not going down for another run there. But just great racing this week overall, but last night, fantastic racing in Lawrenceburg. There's you talk about, like, you see it on TV. We've played it on iRacing there. We've ran them. But, man, you go there, you see it live, and controlled
awesome.
chaos.
It's awesome.
Whoo! All three of us. I mean, even Addison. At one point, like, I look over, he's over there going, Addison's over there going, and then I catch myself going. So, I mean, it's you've captivated 3 generations all in that little area, and I can't go and say just really. I think it'd be cool to judge the not really judge, but rate, if you will, the tracks, because, man, I would give that a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10 there, because, I mean, your facilities are nice.
Yep.
And what Dad was saying, somebody was telling him, is the casino had put a lot of money into that facility, which I could see, because
you're gonna attract people into the races, and then they're gonna, what's there to do? Let's go
right
to the
across
casino.
the street. There's a casino. Exactly.
Smart, very smart.
Absolutely. So really nice facility, nice concessions, like I said, and affordable little. It's cheaper than a night at the movies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really is. If you got a big family, because heck, all my kids get in for free.
Okay, so break it down then. So it was Indiana Midget Week, but they also had 410 wingless sprint cars running last night too.
Yeah, and they've been running with the midgets
Right.
all week there.
Right.
So just really fun to they were saying you got sprint week that comes later this year. But midget week, they were saying the bang for your buck, getting to watch the 410s,
Yeah.
and the midgets.
Yeah.
You're getting some good racing. And boy, oh boy, man, that did not fail last night. It was really, really fun to watch those out there. And I mean, I hate to say this, but Dad got nailed in between the legs with a piece of dirt.
With a piece of dirt.
Oh man, I see him jump like 5 feet up in the air. And
The bionic man can jump 5 feet in the air.
now he can. And I see him holding like his hands between his legs the rest of the night. I said, "What do you do?" He's like, "I'm blocking myself." I got hit.
That or when you're sitting there, I always love, because like whether if you go to a speedrome or a dirt track or something, and holding your beverage, whatever it might be, and if you're sitting kind of close to the track,
Oh, yeah.
you can look down at one point, and if you're at the dirt track, you can see a dirt residue in your beverage.
Oh. Or
if you're like speedrome, you can see little black dots from the asphalt.
Yep, I made the bad mistake there of I go to the concession stand, getting everything, and I come back with nachos, and I realize, oh, this is bad. I got to finish some of these.
You got to scarf them down.
Look at the cheese, man. It's got a layer of dirt on top of the cheese. I was like, yeah, screw it. It's mostly cheese there.
Right. Mix it up. You'll be good.
Exactly. So, no, just I know I waited way too long, but I won't wait nearly that long again to go back to a dirt track.
Yeah.
Hopefully just a couple weeks here, and I'll be back there. So.
And I've been wanting to go because got a friend of mine that I used to race RC cars with, Tim Creech.
Mm-hmm.
He races sprint cars, and he's at he runs Lincoln Park a lot and Gas City and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, I think I saw or heard that name this week. I think
he might have been. He might have been at Lawrenceburg. I don't know.
Yeah, that was just really, like I said, really good race. They go 4 wide.
Oh yeah,
in those midgets, man, and that track's not
catch
huge.
the ruts.
Oh,
and it gets all kind
like
of whoop.
where we were, you couldn't see like the cars when they'd come right around us. So you saw Larson every now and then because he was hitting this rut in turn 1 there like none other. And it seemed like it was just him getting in this area. but you'd see the top of his car just go poop, and then he'd cut it down, and then just his line. You can tell his driving right now, and this is where I really want to talk to someone that has watched dirt midgets and sprints and stuff like that a lot more than I have, because I'm just coming into the game really. But how does Clausen compare to Larson? Because from what I heard, Clausen was the deal.
Clausen,
He was the real deal
yeah,
when it
Clausen
came to
could
that.
drive, man. I mean, he was like we've talked on the show before. He was what I would call a racer. I mean, he would hop in anything and drive the wheels off of it. But I don't know if you could say that who's better in that, between Larson and Clausen, because Larson's damn good himself.
Oh, he's on fire right now.
So I don't think I could pick. I don't think I could pick between the two.
And that's what that's what's awesome to see is these guys, two separate style of driving. I mean, you've got Clausen, who was good in IndyCar. He was a good open wheel driver. You've got Larson, fantastic open wheel on dirt, but man, you can wing a stock car around. I mean, you do a great job over there. So,
which I bet Larson could hop in an IndyCar and wheel it too.
Oh, I'm sure he could, absolutely. But that just shows you that you bring these guys together on dirt. So we were talking about it before. So here this week, he wasn't there last night, obviously, because he's got Dega. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been out at Indiana Midget Week throwing that midget around.
Yep.
I think he said it was like the first time in 13 years maybe he's
been top
here.
5.
Exactly, and he's throwing it down in the top 5 each week. But you do see at that point just the competition level of the podium and the rest of the field. I mean, you got Tanner Thorson's been really good this week.
Yep.
He's been doing a great job.
Didn't hear much about Rico though.
Rico's not been doing that hot.
No.
Usually he takes these Indiana
'Cause
tracks.
that's
and does
a popular name and a popular driver that you hear a lot about, and he really hasn't showed up for Indiana Midget Week.
No, not really. So Thorson, I think, has been the most consistent outside of Larson, obviously. Larson,
Yes.
You can't say anything.
I agree, Jason. I'd love to see that too.
What's that? The
He said, "I'd
Larson
love to see
in
Larson."
IndyCar.
in
I just
IndyCar.
saw that. Yeah. I think that would. And you know
Good morning,
what?
Daniel.
That's one thing that's Ganassi could pick him up there because
I
Ganassi
don't
runs
know.
Honda.
I don't know if Ganassi.
Wants to
I don't know
be-
if Ganassi would go back into that with Kyle Larson.
I'm with you there.
I
but
don't know if he
that's
would.
a Honda, not a.
It is,
Chevy.
but at the same time, I mean, you could see. I'm drawing blank now.
Carlin.
Yes,
I mean,
Carlin. I mean,
yeah.
you could see like a
Coyne.
Carlin or somebody like that picking him up and giving him a shot.
Yeah, absolutely there. So it could very well happen there. Thank you, Nick, for the happy Father's Day. You as well, sir. And yeah, Kokomo that's where they're going to end tonight. It'll be
Tonight.
Yep, the final is
Man,
in
if that wasn't
Kokomo.
such a far drive, I'd go.
It's really not that far. It's an hour.
Yeah, but some of us have to get up and go to work tomorrow.
Well, and fair enough there. Yeah, I didn't think of that there because, it's not so much the going there; it's the coming back.
Right.
But really, I mean, Lawrenceburg. If you're in Indianapolis, the main area here, that was not a bad drive. So
That's
I can't,
like not to sorry to interrupt.
No.
Speaking of dirt tracks, though, if you ever get a chance, and I'm pretty sure they still run over there, Springfield, Illinois. It's like the fairgrounds right there. They got a mile dirt oval.
Oh wow.
And I've seen midgets and sprint cars over there. And you talk about flying. Midgets coming by. I mean, just screaming.
That's what too is like when you're watching those 410s, man. It's like
They're honking.
oh, absolute! Like there was one guy coming down the straight, and he was trying to catch him. And I told Dad, I was like, "Man, that thing was howling right there." It was, yeah. I mean, you could
I
hear
love it.
as
I
he
love
got on it in turn 4 there. But to not to keep going back to it, but Addison, when she got hit, she was sitting like in between Dad and I, like so. Dad was below her. I was here and she was here. So we could block her pretty well from the flying dirt, but every now and then she'd get a hit. She had goggles on, but she'd get hit in the arm and she'd go, ow, it hit me.
But, Here's what I like about the whole, story of you going down there or over there. You took Addie, and then that's one of the first things I asked you this morning. How'd Addie like it? Tommy's like, she loved it.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. I mean, getting her into enjoying racing at a young age like that, and then Charlie and Graham is going to be the same way. So,
oh, yeah. Graham, if it wasn't for flying dirt,
Yeah.
man, I would have taken him because he loves racing. Like, if I'm in here even, he'll go over there and watch. If I'm broadcasting one, he'll sit on the chair and just watch them race.
And that's awesome. I mean,
He does.
That's how we got started. Our dad's taking us to a race.
Exactly.
And you continue to do that. And that's what keeps racing alive for generations.
Right. So let's talk about Father's Day. Let's talk
do
about
it.
dads getting us into it. What was your favorite race that you ever went to with your dad?
I would have to say my very first race. It's when my dad went out and he bought a brand new enduro cart and 2 McCullough motors. And when I say McCulloughs, they were actually McCullough like chainsaw motors, but they ran them on carts, and it was the IRP. They ran the road course out there, and Dad was racing it, started in the back of the pack. But that was my first racing experience of seeing my dad on the track. So I'd have to say that was my favorite.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I think my favorite was when we went out to Whiteland for the first time in the cart. And I just remember him laughing his rear end off when I went around that hairpin about 20 miles per hour too fast and spun out. He's like, you realize you got to slow down there,
Yeah.
right? It's like, yeah, I do now.
Yeah.
I get it now, but my eyes were probably that big. But outside of that, obviously, it's hard not to say the first 500 they took me to. And that's what Addison is the same age as I was when I went to my first 500. And I told Dad, I was like, there's no way I would take her to a 500 at this age just because where we sit, I mean, we're up there. She went to the bathroom 3 times yesterday.
Yeah, that would be.
I would have missed half of the race. Like, thank God for heat races and everything like that because we were able to just miss a little bit of the action here and there.
And that's another nice part about going to, a dirt race or something like that.
It's quick.
It's not a 500-mile
No.
race that you're just sitting there the whole time. So, you got a heat race, okay, then they grid up for the next one. So you got time to go to the concession stand or go to the bathroom, or it's kind of more relaxed. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep. So that is a solid one there. It's and then I mean, last night it's hard not to say that one as well. I mean, we just had a blast. It was he was there, my dad. It was me and Addison. So
Yeah,
that was,
that had to be a great experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And that's something that, years later, how we're sitting here talking about this, Addie will be telling her friends or somebody, hey,
this is my first race.
First race, my dad took me to Lawrenceburg, and we watched midgets and sprint cars on the dirt track.
Right. Absolutely. So
That's a pretty good memory to have.
I gave her a little camera, like the little like GoPro style thing. And so I let her video some of the stuff and things like that. So,
You have to put that footage up on the
yeah,
page.
exactly. Get a little insider of what a 5-year-old is seeing out at the dirt track there. So that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Caleb. He kind of he's slow sometimes.
What'd he say? Oh, you'll get it out of it. Oh, Dan, yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time, buddy. And by the way, we forgot to mention when we started off the show, you can check us out on YouTube, live streaming on YouTube now.
That's
So,
true, yeah. Yep, absolutely. Not just Facebook.
I'm pretty pumped about that.
Right, yeah. Two places
Right.
now. We are, look at us, moving on up.
Moving on up.
Everybody, we're moving on
A
up.
fish don't fry in the kitchen. A beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of terrain.
Just to get up that hill.
I wouldn't say we're up in the big leagues yet.
We're getting there.
we're like AAA, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
But going back to midget week, so Kyle Larson won again last night.
Yeah, and when you saw Chris Wyndham beat him at Lincoln Park on Friday,
Right.
I looked over. I was talking to Anthony. I texted him and I said, I almost guarantee Larson takes this now because he's got a fire under his rear end. He's not going to get beat. It's going to be hard to beat him even tonight at Kokomo, I think.
Well, like we were talking before the show started, I think it was like Wednesday and Thursday night. Larson started 14th and 15th, I believe, in the features in both of those nights. and come up through the field, which the one night, I won't necessarily say he got lucky, but there was a late race caution, so it bunched the field back up, so it gave him a better shot.
Yep.
But, I mean, he was just blowing through the field like it was nothing.
Yeah, I think it was, Tuesday? Yeah, I might have this wrong here. No, it was Wednesday night he started 14th. Thursday night he started 15th.
Right.
And he wins both of those.
Right.
It's like, dang, dude, that's a hard field to come through. I mean, these guys are going four wide. That's a wall. I mean, you can't go anywhere then.
You're taking
going four wide.
You're taking some of the best midget drivers in the country out here, and Larson's just going out and just annihilating the field.
He really is. Really is doing a great. And that last night though, that's kind of what happened as well. As I think a yellow flag with maybe 8 laps left bunched the field together, and then Larson was able to, and he was catching up a little, but the leader, man, I can't remember who was out in front then, but he got going, and his pole off the exit just was getting Larson. Larson would catch him in the corners, but just couldn't get the momentum to get around him there. And Larson was trying different lines. Like I said, that's where you really see the difference is Larson's moving all over the track trying to find what's working. And there's a lot of these guys that they get comfortable to that top side and they want to stick to that top side there. Nothing against that.
I think it was Wednesday night when he got the late race caution and won. But
he's taking that.
If you watched him when he was coming in the turns that night, these guys were coming in, and it's not like they were parking it, but the way that Larson was coming in the turn, it made it look like they were parking it because, I mean, he was flying so fast and slinging it down low.
Yep.
I mean, his slide job he was pulling was insane.
And then when he brings it to the top, the momentum and to get
it was crazy. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it looks just so good there.
And real fast, Anthony said, Rennie just said Tommy didn't tell you all. She's not going to just drive. She wants to wrench on her own machine. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So, T-Mez, he's saying is going to be good. He's been good all week as well.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, he's been fast.
You can't count him out. And like I said, these are the best of the best in midgets, and Larson's just he's in another level right now.
Lasers had a decent week. He's just been caught up in some unfortunate incidents there, and I want to say he was caught up in one yesterday as well. And man, you get caught up in a couple of these incidents come when you're nailing out races throughout the entire week. Hey, that gets unfortunate. Your crew, that can really wear on a crew, I'm sure.
It wears on your crew. It wears on your car. I mean, everything.
Right.
I mean, you got to figure you're out here beating on these cars for, qualifying at least one heat if you advance to the feature in your heat. If not, you're running a last chance qualifier to make the main, and then you're running the main too. So you do that, and then guess what? The next night, you're going to do all that again. So, I mean, they're beating on the drivetrain. I mean, everything about that car, and that's also keeping that you don't get any accidents either.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to get through midget week.
I can only imagine. There's a lot of energy drinks, a lot of kind of like an endurance race. I mean, we were talking the 24-hour race of Le Mans, whether it's iRacing or something. You're up a lot of that. You're really pushing a long time, but at the end of the 24 hours, you get to go to sleep. These guys have a whole week and a lot of travel too. Because I mean, heck, it didn't seem. And I'm not judging USAC here because I'm sure it was track availability stuff like that. But they drove from Gas City to Lawrenceburg to Kokomo, and then Lincoln Park
before Lawrenceburg.
Right. So it was kind of you're kind of tossing these guys
you would think
all
they
over.
would kind of string them out a little bit better.
Paragon was where it started.
Right.
So that is down
north.
by. Is that north? No. That's. I thought that's what it was.
Paragon's south.
Exactly. That's like Martinsville area, not too far from Martinsville.
Somewhere down there.
And so then it just kind of a lot of bouncing around, it seems.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was probably track availability when you're trying to smash 6 races into 7 days. I'm sure Bloomington wasn't able to open the track up. So that's why you saw Lincoln Park run 2 nights in a row there. So
Okay.
They kind of
I wondered why they wouldn't ran Lincoln Park 2 nights in a row.
They probably really felt they were probably okay with that because for a minute there they got to just stay in a place and relax.
Go back to the hotel and chill, and then come back the
I think
next day.
Most of those guys, I think, would take their traveling in those motorhomes because there was loads of motorhomes there yesterday.
I'm sure the majority of them are, but you got some of the smaller team guys that don't have
they
motorhomes.
have right. Absolutely, they might have a Jeep. So, but no, I can't stress enough if you haven't been out to just your local track. I mean, that's a local track experience, and that's something I want to really document a lot.
For
more
us, we have the speedrome locally.
Right.
We don't have a dirt track locally.
There's plenty around us.
Yeah, I think the closest one to us would be probably Gas City or Bloomington.
Or Bloomington, yeah.
I'd say Gas City's probably closer though.
Paragon, if I'm correct where that is, being because where's Gas City there? I'm trying to think. That's in between like Terre Haute and here.
No, Gas City's out east, or out by Anderson, isn't it?
Okay. See, I was thinking.
They do have. I wonder why they didn't run. Since Bloomington, I wonder if Terre Haute was open.
Probably
they could have
not.
ran
I don't
Terre
think
Haute.
the action tractor.
I've been there. That's a good track to
That's
watch.
what I've heard. That'll be another one that I really want to go to here in the future.
Yeah, that's a fast track.
So we talked about.
We was at 50% capacity and it was packed. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. How people are saying 50% capacity, and it's elbow to elbow.
Yeah, I think it was a little more than 50. Somebody was like, maybe more like 75%. Because the bleachers where I was, like I said, we were spread out over there, but the grandstands were pretty.
But how you really gonna gauge that? I mean, do you just come in and say, okay, our capacity's 300 people, so we're only gonna have 150 tickets here. Okay, so when you sell them 150 tickets and there's still another 80 people standing there, you're just going to tell them, sorry, you can't come in?
Well, and see, I think a lot of it was done online before, so I don't know if they were really selling tickets at the gate. I could be wrong there, but I think a lot of it was pre-sale, so you couldn't come to the gate and get a ticket, which might be the way of the future. You might not be able to get a ticket at the gate there.
I think after all this, there is going to be a lot of changes. We're going to see our normal way of life will never be the same again. But, hey, as long as we can go to the racetrack and hang out with friends, family, kiddos, I'm good.
Right.
Even though we probably won't see an Indy 500 this year.
Yeah, I still think that's.
I'm thinking that's not going to happen.
That every week we continually like, well, maybe this maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I really don't think it's going to happen because if no spectators, they're not going to run it because I'm sorry, with the Indy 500, that's part of the race is the spectators, the crowd. I mean, that's what makes the Indy 500.
Well, right, and I mean on top of that, I don't think Penske can afford to pay the purse if you're not selling tickets. So I think that's a big part of it there as well. And we'll go ahead.
I'm sure he could still write a check for the purse.
Ooh, that'd be a steep one to go through the 33 drivers and pay those.
Oh, Raj ain't hurting.
Wow, he would be after that. He'd be feeling it after that one. That wouldn't be a small check to cash. Let's hop into IndyCar, though.
Let's do that.
Unfortunate news here is Zanardi in a biking accident. He's got that hand bike, and he was out in Italy, I guess, exercising there and involved in an accident. He's in stable condition, but not out of the
woods yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a shame because, I mean, Zanardi was one of my favorite drivers in IndyCar back in the day because he was a natural talent, man. I mean, he could get in that car and he did things in that car that people couldn't do. I mean, and then he got in that accident and lost both his legs, but did that stop him? No, he ran 24 hours at Daytona this year.
Right.
I mean, and you watched him. It was cool because they come in for the pit stops. He'd hop off the wall and hop on in there and get it done. So, there's where there's a will, there's a way. If you have the drive and determination, you can overcome just about anything and still, live your dreams and complete your goals. And Alex Zanardi's proof of that.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like you said, man, how much is this guy gonna have
Yeah.
to go through in life? I mean, poor guy, but he's still fighting. So, like I said, stable condition. Just, kind of a little public service announcement. Just watch out for those bikes. Watch out for the motorcycles. Watch out for the kids. It's getting warmer out here, so just be careful when we're driving out there.
Hey, and speaking of IndyCar, Whiteland Raceway Park had a special guest Friday night.
I didn't. They posted. I saw Asher post a picture, and I was like, "Who is that guy? He's not in a
he wasn't
suit.
in his suit and tie.
Is that
or
like
anything.
Doug Bowles' hillbilly twin or
Right,
something?
right.
He's in jeans and a t-shirt. What is that?
Yeah, Doug Bowles was down at Whiteland Raceway Park Friday night, and our little buddy Asher was down there racing and got his first podium finish.
Took a podium. Heck
P3.
yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Congrats there. That is awesome, especially in a first season where you're really just
It's
trying.
just a learning experience.
Exactly, and he's got he's learning so many different tracks. He's got a lot he's taken in, so that's awesome to see him just really progressing there and just being happy with what he's finishing there because he's finishing now.
Yep.
That was his thing is Whiteland, that kind of. And I'm sure it intimidated
defeated him last time,
Exactly.
and last night he went down there and defeated it.
Exactly.
Which, and he's been running a lot at Newcastle, and what I like about Newcastle is you don't run the same track configuration every week. They always change it. So, he's learning to drive new lines and everything week in, week out, and, his mom and dad's taking him practicing a lot, which is good, and like we've talked before, that's just all you need to do right now is don't worry about results or any of that stuff. Get out there, turn laps. Your parents are learning how to turn all the different wrenches on the cart and tune it and stuff like that. So it's a learning process for all you guys, and it's not going to happen overnight. That's something that takes a while.
It's awesome to watch them get kind
grow.
of exactly all there together there.
Mm-hmm.
So hop on over there as always and check out what they got cooking up there. I'm sure he's going to be out somewhere today. If not, maybe taking it down the street.
I don't know.
Did you see him taking it down the street
Yeah.
there? I used to do that, but Dad wasn't too fond of like the neighbor people caring too much because people would float down that street anyways. He's like, man, just be careful.
Yeah, I never
was
took
like,
mine
okay.
down the street.
Oh, I'd got it haul.
Well,
I'm
partially
talking-
because
it was a drag strip for me, man.
partially because the neighborhood I grew up in, if I took it down the street, it may not be there tomorrow morning when I wake up. So.
I'm with you. Have you been to Mom and Dad's? Have you seen? So we just had, and at this point, it wasn't the other edition. Like that new edition wasn't connected. I don't believe it was just the
New
circle
edition.
At the
Mr. Telephone Man.
Nice. It's not new anymore, but that's what I say. No race today, but they do have a show tonight.
Yeah, because they didn't do the show last week because he was whooped
zonked.
after.
Zonked. I bet you that wears him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, we just used to full throttle that bad boy down there. Whoa! That was fun stuff right there. So when you got down and where you needed to turn, you make sure you were clear and you give it a nice little spin there. So I cooked some tires on the street there. Take it out there. Burn it up, Asher. Burn it up.
Practice your victory burnout.
Exactly. Watch out for cars. That's because unfortunately they're not always watching out for you. You're a little lower to the ground than most people are used to seeing.
So back to IndyCar. Iowa's going to allow fans.
They are, yep. So I think obviously I didn't see like what limitations obviously because we saw Talladega like NASCAR today will allow 5,000 people in. So it'll look like
with
normal.
masks.
Talladega. I didn't see anything about. I can't imagine, and I could be wrong, but 5,000 people.
At Talladega, you should be able to spread out.
Right, exactly. Like unless you're going to pack all 5,000 right there at the start-finish line,
right?
Which
And
that would just
wouldn't
be
surprise me.
Ludicrous.
Just so it looks like, hey, look, we got 5,000 people.
So yeah, that's I just don't know because 5,000 people spread out ain't gonna look like nothing.
No.
It's really not. So it'll be interesting. But at least, like we said, we're starting to come back to some normalcy here. We'll go back to the Talladega deal here in a minute. But another kind of, and I needed to do a little more reading on this, but there's automatic entry now. So to the champion that wins that USF or the pro.
So kind of like automatic promotion.
Exactly, into the next series. And I don't know exactly like I said, the back end of how it works, what team you flow into.
Which I agree with that, and I think that's the way it should be, because a lot of other forms of racing, like if you're in the feeder series or so-called rookie series or whatever, and if you win that championship, you automatically have to bump up into the next level, because they won't allow you to race in that series anymore, which is smart. You know, to me, it's you don't want a guy that's won the championship and just stays down that series and beating up on people because he can win the championship. You know, yeah, okay, if you won a championship, you need to bump up and see what you can do there.
Right, and then if you can't do it there, that's where they figure out you're not
right.
Maybe, you know, sports cars or go-karts. I mean, you know, you need to go back because at that point,
and sports car's not a bad gig to have, because I would love to drive a sports car.
Right? Yeah. When we say that, it's not. But there's just a lot more seats, I think,
yes,
in that area there. So I think it'll be interesting to watch here as they are still running this year. Indy Lights is not. So that road to Indy is still gonna keep turning. The wheel's gonna keep on turning. We're getting it on today. rolling on the river. Oh, goodness gracious. So we'll hop on back to the fan deal and the current situation going on in NASCAR, and not to harp on the how did he say it? The pandemic.
Pandemic.
the pandemic here, but
I haven't seen him in a while on or anything.
I know.
He just kind of like disappeared.
He's probably doing. He's getting his real race car ready. We're gonna have to go down to Tennessee and have to watch him wheel it here.
I'm down. Road trip.
Exactly. I'm down. But Haas has 2 cases confirmed.
Yes.
And Penske has 1. So,
and that's on the NASCAR side of things.
Right.
It's not on the IndyCar side.
Right. So at this point, though, I mean, these guys were in their shops. I don't think they're forced to wear masks, close quarters. I mean, they're in close quarters with each other for 8 hours. At what point is it spreading across, I guess? And at what point is NASCAR going to have to say, you know what, we're going to have to...
We're shutting it back down.
Exactly. So...
I mean, if... And I can see it happening. I mean, because if you're getting... I understand it's only, 3 people that have been reported so far. But, you know, if those 3 people have come in contact with 30 other people, probably at least 2 out of those 30 are going to catch it. So it's just a domino effect. It's going to keep. So yeah, at some point you just have to say, hey, look, you know, we tried, but we got to, you know, keep our employees and crews and everything like that safe. So we got to shut it down.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, obviously NASCAR is going to keep an eye on that. They'll be watching going forward at what will happen and.
But okay, so, and not to get off subject, but does NASCAR and IndyCar and a lot of these racing teams start talking about implementing what the NBA was talking about? Have you heard about that? Where they have to wear like some kind of ring?
Oh, yeah. They don't have to. They're not. It's optional.
Right.
But
it takes their temperature. Right. It constantly monitors them. So... Is that what we're going to have to go to make sure everybody stays safe? I mean, at this point, we don't know. We really don't know how to contain it, you know, eliminate it, cure it. There's really no answers right now.
No, and NASCAR was doing a really good job. It looked like, at really trying to contain and
even
control.
Though I thought the interviews were always kind of, it's like. Yeah, that's weird.
Stand a stick?
Yeah, when they'd win, and then you're standing out there on the start-finish line, you're like, hey, so Tommy boy, nice win today. How was the car? I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Exactly right.
The car, it was really good.
Slick track. Hot slick track.
But yeah, so
Methane sponsored. Oh goodness. But yeah, that's something obviously we don't want to, but we'll be keeping an eye on. You'll be keeping an eye on. Fans.
But here's my question too. So, NASCAR is only allowing drivers, crews, and media at the races, but yet you go to like Lawrenceburg last night. There was what would you say, 300 people there or more?
Oh, there's more than 300.
So let's say 500 people there.
I'd put it more about 1,000.
Okay, so 1,000 people there.
I could be wrong, but yeah.
So there again, you have 1,000 people coming in contact with each other. Now, we don't know. Maybe a few days down the road, somebody will, hey, I got COVID.
Right.
So, and if somebody does, then, you have to think, you had your dad, your daughter there. But, I mean, what do you do? Do you stay in like a prisoner, or do you go out and try to enjoy life and do what you can? I mean, I'm going to go out and enjoy it. I'm a risk taker.
I'm a risk taker. That's racing.
Yeah.
That's racing there. Oh, man. So, we got NASCAR. We're at Dega today, but a news before on this week, Dale Jr., Mike Stefanik, and Red Farmer getting into the Hall of Fame there. So, obviously the big name out of those three, everybody fan favorite there, Dale Jr.
Well, you knew he was going to make it in. I mean,
and let's talk about this real quick. Is I think he deserves it. I know the NASCAR community. I think this is where this is a 50-50 toss-up. I mean, you look down the line at arguably one of the most consistent drivers ever to run in NASCAR in a top 5, top 10 run, and at the same time, you did it through a changing vehicle constantly. So he was one of these guys that was able to take each of these cars and make it work for him constantly. And if you look at the older point standing, he wins a few. But unfortunately, he's not in that older point standing, and he has no championships to finish off his career. Just a good amount of wins and a load, and I mean a load of top 10, top 5 finishes.
Who, Junior?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the impact that he's had on the sport. I mean, and you could sit here and say a lot of that's because of his last name, and that did have a lot to do with it, but a lot of that he earned on his own. I mean, because after his dad passed, he was still doing his thing, and like you said, he was going through a series that was constantly changing cars. I mean, but if it would have stayed in the old style car, I agree with you. I think he would have had at least one championship, maybe multiple. But he's really an ambassador to the sport.
Right. And I think
so. How do you not put him in the Hall of Fame?
Because you do look at people there, and I do think that is the Hall of Fame. It is because our brothers at Black and White Sports, they've talked about this. Kind of the NFL allowing more of these people into the Hall of Fame that maybe aren't warranted. But
I agree with that too.
But here's where do you strictly look at your performance on the track, or somebody like Dale Jr., do you look at the safety that you brought to the sport? Do you look at being an ambassador to the sport? Do you look at things like that to push you into the Hall of Fame on top of your performance?
I think you do. I think you have to look at the whole package and the impact that he's had on the sport. I mean, it's not just on track, it's off track as well. I mean, that's like Mike Stefanik. I mean, I don't know what he did behind scenes because, a lot of these guys you don't hear about. Once they step out of the car, they become NASCAR tech men
or something for a team
or a spotter
right, exactly.
or working for a team or something like that. So just because they step out of the car doesn't mean their career's over in NASCAR. So, yeah, I'm not real sure what Stefanik did, in years after he got out of the car. But as far as being in the car, I don't see that as him deserving to get into the Hall of Fame, because I never thought he was one of those drivers that was really up here. But like I said, I'm not knocking him. I don't know all his, accomplishments and what he has done. Now, Red Farmer, I definitely see why he should be in. I mean, he's old school. He's one of the guys that kind of started NASCAR. I mean, he was back in the Junior Johnson days. And yeah. So yeah, he definitely deserves. But like you said, a lot of sports, not just besides racing, just because the guy was in the league for 15 years, yeah, we're gonna put him in the Hall of Fame. Why? He sat the bench,
right?
Or he finished 30th every race,
right?
So why does just because he was in the sport for a long time he should get in the Hall of Fame? No, to me, the Hall of Fame is people that, really impacted the sport, or multi-time champions, or, somebody like that. You're the upper echelon of the sport.
Right.
And that's the only people that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. No, and I agree with that. But I think so. Scott Schroeder asked, he deserves it. He says, but did he deserve a first bout? And I think where his ambassadorship, his innovation that he brought to the sport. Well, yes and no, but his name. Here's my view on his name. Did his name get him into the Hall of Fame? No. But what got him into the Hall of Fame with his name is the fact that he never didn't go without the equipment.
Oh yeah,
he stepped into NASCAR with equipment. He has always had something to win a title with.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question about that. Not many people are given that opportunity.
No, he's always had a legit race car ready to go. I mean, anytime he was on the track.
Was he his dad, though? No.
I
mean, there's no question about that. He wasn't as good as his dad. But
now I will say, as far as restrictor plate races,
he's one of the best ones.
I would say he was just as good as his dad, if not better.
Oh, I think he was better than his dad at restrictor plate races.
Because his dad used to say that he could see the air flowing and moving around the car. And I think Junior could too. I'm not saying they really can see the air or whatever.
They feel it much better there.
But, I mean, Junior had that knack, just like his dad, for restrictor plate races. He knew what that car was going to do and what hole to go to and who to suck up on, and he was probably, in our era, or today's era, or yesterday, whatever era you want to call Junior in, he was the best restrictor plate racer on the track.
Oh, and I would find it hard to believe in the restrictor plate age that he's not the best. I mean, you look at Denny Hamlin. You're one of the greats too, but when Junior was out there, you were getting beat by Junior.
Yeah, and that's why on the restrictor plate race, have you ever noticed there in the last few years of Junior's career, you didn't see a lot of guys wanting to work with him. They would work with him for a little bit, and then they'd hang him out.
Yeah, because
they knew if he was up towards the front,
top 5,
he
top
was
8.
probably going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some of the best races I think I can ever remember seeing is some of these restrictor plate races when Junior would restart a green-white checkered in 8th and
win it.
It's like, how did you do that? Where did you put the car, dude? There was 2 lanes. I didn't see you come through either of them.
Like I said, he just knew where to be in those.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like it was insane his
situational
feel
awareness
for restrictor plate races.
Absolutely, and I think you bundle that all together. That's where, though, like I said, having that equipment at the beginning of your career, that helped you become that first ballot Hall of Famer. That helped you be so consistent throughout your entire career there. But like I said, at the end of the day, your last name did not help you adjust to those changes in the car. Your last name didn't help you because your dad.
His last name gave him opportunities.
Absolutely. But your dad, was he an ambassador for the sport? 100%. Was he the same style of ambassador to the sport as you were?
Nope.
No. Not at all.
They were completely different people.
Right. So
I mean, to me, if Junior was, I never met him, but to me, he seems like he's a real just humble guy.
Absolutely.
And down to earth. I mean, and not saying his dad wasn't, but his dad just had that different demeanor. his dad was just kind of like laid back and.
But let's talk about this real quick because nobody ever talks about his dad. He had the last name when he got into the sport. You look at his dad, and he was a fantastic driver.
Yeah.
I mean, so nobody ever looks at Senior really as being given those opportunities where I think,
He really didn't get given many opportunities, though. He really had to earn his way into those rides. I mean, because I'm trying to think the first ride he was with. I don't think it was with Junior Johnson. I don't remember who it was with, but they didn't. It wasn't the best ride, and then and early on, him and Waltrip hated each other.
Him and Daryl.
Oh yeah, they were not friends at all.
No, he was buddies with Rusty and
Neil Bonnet.
Yeah,
Neil Bonnet was like his best friend, and then over the years, him and Waltrip kind of, I guess as they got older, kind of got along and stuff like that. But I mean, to me, Earnhardt's always going to be my favorite driver in NASCAR.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think he'll stack up as just one of the top. And to go back to that Father's Day kind of theme here, there's no better clip in NASCAR or really in sports, really, as a father-son combination than when Junior wins his first race and Senior just pushes everybody out of the way
to get the Junior.
Yeah, man, that right there was one of the coolest just things in sports, and it's a father-son deal. And I'm not knocking women in this sport because, hey, if you're in it, you rock it, you do it. But I mean, up until then, it was really a male-dominant sport, and that was a father-son combination. For my dad was in racing. I was in racing. We talked about that. That was just so cool to see. It was like, man, that's a father-son dream right there, to go out there and have your dad come up to you in victory lane. You beat your dad at his track. I mean, that was cool. That was just something really neat to see. And I'm sure that if you talk to Junior, that's got to be one of his top memories.
Well, and going back to Earnhardt Sr. and just the impact he had on the sport, after his accident and he died, I went out to Vegas, and I was in the NASCAR Cafe, and they had one of his cars on display, and it was all roped off and everything. Mm-hmm. But people putting letters, flowers, teddy bears, they were flowing out of the car. They were putting them inside the car, and there were so many, they were flowing out of the car onto the floor. And that's just one place.
Right.
So that just shows you the impact that man had on the sport.
Absolutely there. And I think, I mean, like we said, and that's part of why I believe that his son is part of the first ballot here is because you look at Senior's impact, he had a lot.
And I like Junior in the booth, too.
You look at he was Scott asked how many times. I think it was 13 times he was voted most popular driver. I don't think his dad ever won that. One time he did. One time. I think it was the year he died. He won most popular driver. But outside of that, it was always Bill Elliott winning that when they were racing each other.
And then wasn't it Gordon after that?
No, it went from Bill Elliott to Junior. Gordon, I don't think ever won most popular driver.
Really?
Now it's Chase. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely thought Gordon would have won.
No, because he was always with Junior.
Huh?
You went from Bill Elliott to as most popular driver, and then Junior was in. So Junior, at that point, Gordon was pretty much you either loved or hated him. So it was a half and half split. You know what I'm saying? Where Junior, people loved him or you didn't care about him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hate. You didn't want to see him wreck. Where Gordon, you either wanted to see him win or you wanted to use it was checkers or records with Gordon. That's what you wanted to see.
I mean, I never was a Gordon fan. I always respected him as a driver. I mean, he was a great driver. I just wasn't a fan.
Right.
But and it's kind of like with Jimmy Johnson. I'm not a Jimmy Johnson fan. I respect his accomplishments and what he's done in the sport. I'm still not a fan. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm lost.
Whoopsie. No, that's good there. That's a nope. Gordon never won most popular driver. That's he was just such a loved or hated person there.
He was.
And I was a huge Gordon fan. I mean, you know that if anybody.
So was our buddy Jimmy Curry. He was a huge Gordon fan.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of what we talked about there too. Is since Gordon left, I haven't really been able to. It's like I get behind Chase. I like Chase. I like Hendricks, or Hendrick, but it's just hard to really. I can't. I haven't found that driver yet. Same with IndyCar. Since Lazier left, like I've had a few that I've liked, like Newgarden. I like him. I like Rossi, but I haven't found that one driver. I think, like I said, Rosenquist, I'm really getting behind hardcore, but it's hard to find that driver that I'm really passionate about like I used to be.
I mean, NASCAR, I mean, if somebody told me right now I had to pick a driver, I would probably go with Martin Truex Jr., just because, you know, his ties, he started out racing for DEI back when they were still a business, which I guess they still are technically, but so yeah, he has ties with the Earnhardts, so I would probably have to pick him, and he seems like a good dude and just out there racing. IndyCar, I do like Graham because I was always a Bobby Rahal fan. Would I consider Graham my favorite driver? Probably not. Maybe Dixon. Or like you said, I'm really into Felix.
He is like one of the newer ones that I really feel like I can get behind.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Not only because we spoke with him, but he's just a great overall. He seems like a great ambassador for the sport.
He's excited to race.
Exactly.
He likes to race.
Yeah. So I look forward to watching him go and move on here. But,
and he was set for a good result in that first race, and man.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, big time whoopsie.
So a couple changes here to the aero package today after what happened in Daytona this year. So the aero ducts on the front taken off. So that's going to eliminate.
On the very front valance?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think there's two of those.
Yes.
So those are gone, and the reduction in the size of the throttle body, and
okay. So they're going to give them more downforce, because when you take those ducts away, it's going to close that nose up. So
they
it's
don't
going
want
to give
them
them more
getting in the air.
downforce, and then
Slow
with the
'em up.
smaller throttle body. So because if you left the throttle body the way it is now, you're going to give them more downforce. They're going to speed up. So now you give them more downforce, you take away the size of the throttle body, so you're going to take away some horsepower, so it should equal out.
Right, but at the same time, I mean, you're still restricted, or like you're still packed up. You're still like, but I think the whole point is to keep that car on the ground and avoid anything getting up in the air like Newman did. But Keselowski comes out, and he is one that I do like him because he'll come out and
he'll tell you how it is.
Exactly. And he's saying, you guys are making these small changes to the car. And it's big changes when it comes to the driving. It's like, and remember this, because no practice, nothing like that. So please remember this when you're making these changes, is what he's saying. So speaking of no practice, anything like that, originally there was supposed to be some practice, and James Davidson was actually going to drive in Talladega. He had a ride. He was ready to go. And NASCAR comes out and they say, nope, not going to happen. We can't have you out on your first NASCAR race on a super speedway. So
that's smart, though. That is smart.
At the same time, I mean, you knew there's going to be limited practice. Don't let him do it. My mind on this, and maybe I look at IndyCar as maybe too much as being the elite, but if the man can drive around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for 500 miles, I think he's going to be okay at Talladega in a stock car.
I mean, but it is different, though, because you're getting that pack racing, and if you've never done that before, I don't think you want to.
Well,
jump
the 500
in
you spread out, I guess.
It's not like
Texas. I mean, he's been in some
I'm
races.
not saying he hasn't, but pack racing is a different animal.
I'm with you there.
And and a lot of these guys, they've never raced with him before, so they're not going to trust him. I know I wouldn't if I was a racer. I don't care if the guy has ran Indy cars. Like I said, pack racing is different. And if you've never been out there drafting with somebody, I'm not going to take a straight up rookie and come on, push me. I don't want that. I don't want that.
I'm with you there.
That or I don't want to push him.
At that point, though, NASCAR should have came out at the beginning and said, no, you can't do this. We're not going to have your first race be a super speedway without the essential practice that you need. They should have just nixed that to begin with and not let it even kind of go into
Or why couldn't they have just said, okay, here's the deal. You can run Sunday's race if you run the ARCA series first.
Right, yeah, dude.
Put him in an ARCA car,
Then
let
you
him
gotta
get
do
out there and
Xfinity.
get the feel for it.
Right.
Okay, so now you have a little bit of feel on what's going on, how this is going to work. And you have some track time. And then, yeah, like you said, if he could find a ride for Xfinity, go out there and run Xfinity too.
Right.
That way, come Sunday, you got a couple hundred laps under your belt, so you should be ready.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm with you there, but I just think that's kind of poor planning on NASCAR's part to even come out and say they'll allow it at the beginning, knowing what's going on and everything. You should have just said no, not going to happen right off the bat. So.
Happy Father's Day, Enrique.
Thank you very much. Justin Haley takes.
I thought he was going to talk about Haley Deegan.
No, takes yesterday's race at Talladega, though. Excuse me. So this is a name we've seen take, what was it, Daytona last year?
I believe so, yes.
Come back and then take Talladega in the Xfinity race. So maybe another superstar when it comes to these restrictor plate style racing. So
yeah, he seems to have it down pretty good.
Right. So it'd be interesting to see him moving forward there. Briscoe wins at Homestead. So I think he's really turning into a solid contender here to get a ride next year. Is Briscoe doing some
Well, we've
solid...
talked about that. I think you'll see. I think you'll see Briscoe come out. We'll definitely see Cindric. I always forget the kid's name. Oh crap! Hold on. Keep talking. I'll find it.
But Reddick last week, speaking on rookies real quick, phenomenal run. We said,
Yes.
Man, coming through and with a fourth place finish. At one point, I thought he was going to compete for the win. So we'll see if he can really keep that up here.
Noah Gregson.
Gregson, yeah.
And Harrison Burton.
Okay. Oh, Burton, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, you got.
Burton might be another year in Xfinity. I could see him sticking maybe one more year there in Xfinity. But yeah, then again, how many rides are going to be open? Are some of these guys? They might wait for that bigger opportunity because you look down the line at the paddock and some of these drivers are pretty old.
Well, I think this is Newman's last year. Jimmy Johnson's. Excuse me. I'm trying to think who else.
Harvick's done in a couple of years.
Harvick's done in a couple of years.
Amarillo's not going to get signed back from
Truex will probably be done a couple years. I mean, so there's some seats that are opening up and potentially could open up. Like we've talked, I think Keselowski will take that 48 ride, and I think that Cindric will take the Blue Deuce.
Yeah.
So then you're going to have Logano will be the veteran at Penske. Then you'll have Cindric and Ryan Blaney. It's a pretty tough team right there.
No, absolutely. And I think Blaney has a solid chance today. I mean, we've seen his success with super speedways here. He was right there at Daytona ready to win that one there. So
he's kind of like what I said about Chase last year. Blaney's good. He just doesn't have that consistency.
Right.
Where this year, I will say Chase has been consistent.
Much more.
Chase has been, contending for wins and top fives week in, week out.
Yep.
So that's the Chase Elliott we were looking to see. He's finally got to that. Now let's see if he can keep that momentum.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that there. So it should be a good one. Like Brandon said, it'll be a crazy one today. That's for sure.
Dega's always crazy.
Absolutely. Because this is the one I'll never forget. Tony Stewart coming out and be like, maybe halfway through the run, we could just all come out and go backwards.
Right.
We're not done until everybody's done wrecking.
Was it
just live it?
Was it Talladega where was it Keselowski that went through the catch fence?
Wasn't that Daytona?
No, I
thought
want to
that
say it was
one
Talladega.
Okay, you might be right there. But, yeah, I mean, these guys, it gets crazy here, so.
No, well, like I said, it all goes back to that. I'm just not a fan of the pack racing.
We'll see if what happens today with that. It'll definitely be interesting to watch there as the fathers. It's always funny. Dad always laughed about this. They don't race on Mother's Day.
But they race on
But
Father's
they
Day.
race on Father's Day. It's like, you better spend time with your wife here, but you're going to do what you like here. And
I mean, I kind of have to agree because, I mean, if I was a racer, yeah, I want to race on Father's Day.
Johnson, though, is sitting back saying, like, man, I can't wait till next Father's Day. I just get to put my feet up and relax. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the guys like that. Like Gordon right now is probably enjoying this morning, like, oh, wow, breakfast in bed. This is pretty nice. You know what I'm saying?
He still got to get to the track and call the race.
Well, you're right. But at least, I mean, he's not so I'm sure he didn't have to be at the track like 4 hours later until what he used to. So,
well, you know, he's got to do makeup and all that stuff.
He does look so much different when he hopped out of a car compared to what he does in the booth, man. It's crazy. That is nuts. Oh, man.
Well, so does Junior, though. I mean, Junior's all up there with his glasses
he does,
on
yeah.
and everything like that.
He looks like an Abercrombie and
Yeah.
Fitch model. That's good
But
stuff.
I do like Gordon being in the booth, and I do like Junior being in the booth. I think both of them in the booth are great. And then I like it when you sprinkle in some Clint Boyer in there, too.
Boyer's fantastic in the booth. If Boyer doesn't
He's better in the booth than he is in a car.
If Boyer doesn't get in the booth after racing, they missed their calling or they didn't give him enough money because
Yeah.
I'd love to have Clint Boyer in the booth and chat with him, man. That would be so awesome. That's one of those guys we got to have. Hey, I'm Clint Boyer, and you're listening to Checkers and Records.
That would be great.
Wouldn't it? That would be so awesome.
He might even drop a F-bomb in there.
I'm all right with that. It's Clint Boyer, you know? Oh, man. So I'm trying to think. I think
little F1 news.
little F1 news, yeah. McLaren. Go ahead.
No, you talk about it.
So they're looking at selling a minority stake in their team there. So here's a couple questions that first I'll put out my opinion, then I'm going to ask you a question here. My opinion is I think it's a good one here. I think it's a solid way because from what I've read, the idea is to take this team and make sure here come in 2 years when the regulations change that they have the same amount of money that Ferrari, that Mercedes, that Red Bull has, so they can max out that budget and they have it set that they're a top team then again. And my question to you on top of that, I don't even know why this is out in the public yet. Two-part question here. Has Schmidt been approached already with this opportunity? And if you're Schmidt-Peterson, do you hop into Formula One at this point with McLaren and really bond this partnership with IndyCar? Because it could benefit you in IndyCar, in my mind, because McLaren might be a little more backing of you then. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm sure that it's been brought to the table with Schmidt-Peterson or maybe it hasn't, but I would think, and if it hasn't, they know now. But,
right, exactly.
But as far as them getting into F1, I just don't know if they have the money to play that game.
And I was thinking that as well.
And then my other part of that is, maybe they're trying to bring in this partnership and sell off part of their stake in the team. Maybe Schmidt-Peterson might be getting pushed out.
And that's what I hope is not the case, is because this was their team to begin with.
It was.
That was their deal, and I understand that.
And then again, it may not have nothing to do with the IndyCar side of it. It may just be the F1 side of it.
It's hard not to say it's not gonna kind of merge at some point, because when you look into that, Zach Brown has already said, that sounds so weird every time I say that, talking about racing, that he
Just
is
as free.
exactly. He stated that they're putting money into IndyCar. They're trying to, because with that budget cut, but at the same time, when you state that and you say with the budget cut we can a lot more money into IndyCar, but yet you're looking to turn over and sell a minority so you can hit that budget at the top end, I guess maybe you are trying to save more money for that IndyCar team, because at this point, you can either A, max out your budget with the F1 team and go minimum with the IndyCar team, or B, you could find another buyer in a team here, max out your Formula One team, and still have a good amount of money for your IndyCar team there as well. So there's a lot of options up there, but
I mean, I think it's a smart move, because you're also what another thing they're doing is they're bringing new money into the sport.
Absolutely, yep. You hope
yes.
It's not somebody just coming from
right.
Because another thing I've heard is Latifi's dad might buy more into the team there. So we got another Stroll. And I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to see that happen.
That's unfortunately where that's kind of where F1 has become, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's the downside of it. But, which in the same sense, that helps IndyCar out, because these drivers that were, going to go F1 come IndyCar side now. And like we talked earlier, we haven't heard a lot about Mick Schumacher here lately. And Ferrari's talked about coming into IndyCar. So could we possibly see Ferrari coming into IndyCar and bringing Mick Schumacher into
How
IndyCar?
awesome
would that be?
Right, absolutely.
Or that would draw.
Or does Charles Leclerc come into IndyCar and Mick Schumacher gets
I don't see that happening, because I think Leclerc's their boy right now.
Right, and this is all hypothetical. We're kind of talking, dream team right here. But in my mind, if I'm Ferrari and I've got a driver like Charles Leclerc, if he's okay with going around and on the ovals and he feels comfortable, I'm going to put him in that IndyCar ride, because I think he's giving you the best opportunity to win. Where Schumacher then can progress in F1. And, man, you could have a Sainz, if he's your number one driver, then you could have a good little double dipping going on from F1 to IndyCar there.
Yep. And then speaking of engines and things like that, Mercedes announced this week that their engine chief is leaving the team.
Yep.
So where's he going to go? Is he going to follow Toto?
It's a positive. And see, I haven't heard anything else on that yet. So I don't know
either.
if that was kind of speculation. I wish F1, when things came out, like it wasn't all speculation and they actually had something behind it here, because I've heard many things about different rides and stuff like that. So, hey, Justin, sick, happy Father's Day to you. You don't have to apologize for sleeping in. That's what we got www.bwsports1.com for.
Yep. Or you can just hop on over to YouTube and you can watch the replay on YouTube, or you can watch it on Facebook or whatever. Look, we got all the streaming,
right.
all platforms covered, buddy.
So, interesting to see, and I haven't read the article yet. I just saw a headline there, but Ricardo came out and kind of explained why he chose to switch and why he chose to switch so early. So that'll be a good read there.
And I'm going to have to go and say that why he switched was because he got lied to at Renault.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, last year was a total disaster for Daniel Ricciardo. I felt bad for the guy.
I agree.
I mean, you stepped into this team and they promised you the world and they were going to do this and they were going to do that, and they didn't come through on anything. I mean, and then you go and get rid of Hulkenberg. So, I thought, that team of Danny Rick and Hulkenberg was a pretty strong team.
Yep.
If you gave them good cars that would last for the race, you got two guys that can compete. Well, so you get rid of Hulkenberg, and guess what? Danny Rick leaves too, so now you're standing there with your in your hand. And so, they did sign, what's-his-face?
Ocon?
Yeah.
Right, but
there again, I still don't think he's what everybody thinks he is.
He's not your number one driver. You got to find a number one driver now. So, I mean,
I bet you wish you would have kept Hulkenberg now.
Exactly. Absolutely. 100% there. So that is really Racing Point's the first to get back out and test that new car since the shutdown here. And we're just a couple weeks away now.
Which Ferrari, Leclerc had the Ferrari out on the streets
yeah.
of Maranello the other day.
That looks sweet. That was awesome. Like you said, he hits it and gets it wide open.
Yeah.
There for
If you haven't seen that, search that on Facebook, because I can't remember what it was under. It might be under F1 or it's like I follow like 10 different F1 pages.
I think I'll pull it. I'll share it onto the page there. So
Yeah, you definitely got to see that.
That's some good stuff.
Because he pulls
right
out
there.
of the Ferrari compound. When I say compound, it's a
Oh
compound.
yeah, absolutely.
And he pulls out and kind of just going down the street. Then he makes this turn. He gets on the street until it's just a big straightaway.
Yep.
And rips it.
Absolutely. It was a nice little video there. So I think that's pretty much all we got
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
day.
we covered a little bit of everything. Like we talked earlier, Speed Roam's back to racing now,
Yep.
allowing fans. Next weekend at Newcastle, doubleheader kart race.
Asher be out there, he said.
Asher will be out there. So, if you want to go check out Asher and check out some good racing, period, go out to Newcastle, and they're allowing spectators now.
Yep.
Or, like we said earlier, hit your local track, man. Support your local tracks. If you don't support your local tracks, they're not going to continue to operate, and they won't be around. So, you gotta support local. And I'm not saying that you can't venture off and see other tracks every now and again, but definitely make sure you support your home tracks.
Yep, absolutely there. And it's time now for the Checkers and Wreckers Picks of the Week. And it's time for you at home to join along with us.
You gotta hit the. Where's the thunder?
Oh, we're coming in with picks.
Oh.
Paul Revere style. We're coming in horseback with the horsepower picks of the week here. There we go. Well, it's a new thing every week here. You never know what you're going to get here. That's the fun. So I'll explain this again. Each week we pick a checker, a wrecker, and a dark horse. The checker, who you think's going to win. The wrecker, not necessarily who you think's going to wreck, but who you think's not going to do as good as they should. And the dark horse, somebody kind of maybe a midfield, the backfield guy, a rookie, something like that. Somebody not
on a smaller team.
Right, not performing.
Dark horse is not Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex. None of them guys are dark horses.
So,
and going back to the checker, though, not necessarily – yeah, that's who you want to pick to win, but also, hey, maybe they get a top five.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's you got a lot of guys out here, so we understand it's hard to pick a winner.
So,
trust me, it is.
Comment your checkers, wreckers, and dark horses picks in the comments, and we'll give you ours.
Absolutely.
Lead them out, Tommy boy.
Got my checker here today, and we talked about him a little earlier as really tossed up between Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott. And I'm going to go with the number 9 Napa, that Chase Elliott car. I think he's going to do a great job. He's been consistent this year. He's won a restrictor plate race already. I think he takes another one here today. That Hendrick Power just looking really good this year.
See, and that's who I was going to pick, but I'm not now because you're going to jinx me. Let's see. So I'm going to take Kevin Harvick.
Going with Harvick there, coming off.
Happy Harvick.
And again, I mean, you talk about consistent. And this year, last year, he was just really lining up those consistent.
He seems to be
finishes
the
there.
most consistent driver for that Stewart-Haas team.
Right. I would agree with that. So go to a wrecker here. And once again, I don't think he's going to wreck today, but he's coming off a win at Homestead. I don't think the Super Speedway King is what I was calling him earlier. I don't think Hamlin finishes in the top 10 today, and that's a record for him. So I think Hamlin's going to be my wrecker here today.
And my wrecker, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Going with Busch there. Having a hard year here so far coming off.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a good year.
No, he's really trying to find it here. Daytona, he had that problem there when they went to the red flag and they went to restart, correct? He wouldn't fire back up. So I think he was top 5, top 6 there at that time. But, not having the year that he's wanting here today or this year. So we'll see if he can put it on today. But you got him as your wrecker. And we'll go to the dark horses. I'm really trying to think. I've picked some good dark horses in the past couple weeks. You know what?
Ooh.
My dark horse today, I'm going to go with Kenseth. I think he's going to pull a solid. He's been okay, but you can tell this car has, like I said, been a tougher acclimation than he's had.
Well, it's kind of weird because the first race back when he hopped into that car, he got top 10.
And then since then, it's kind of been a little.
Since then, it's been hit and miss.
Right. So, and if not Kenseth, I was going to pick somebody, LaJoy, Priest. I was really tossing it up between those guys there.
The Red Rocket took LaJoy as a dark horse.
There you go. He did. He was right there in Daytona in the top 10, doing a good job. And not Priest, Jones. I'm sorry. Jones is always one of those guys that's
Eric Jones.
Yeah, in Super Speedway.
JGR. That's Busch and all the Hamlin's teammate.
Right, but I mean Jones, as far as you can pick him, that'd be a
good
solid
driver,
dark
though.
horse when it comes to super speedways. But yeah, I got to go with Kenseth. I think he's going to pull off. This is his first super speedway of the year too, because he wasn't in Daytona.
It is, and I was gonna do it, but I'm not going to because he bites me in the butt every time.
You were gonna pick Matty D, weren't you?
I was. Then at the last minute, I was like, no, don't do it. Christopher Bell, dark horse.
I thought about going with one of those rookies there, but man, it's just a tough track here, and I think it's going to be a hard one for them. And
I mean,
you never know where the big one's going to happen.
That's exactly it, and I think it's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time. You can go from hero to zero real quick.
Right, absolutely. There. So
Wrecker, hold on here. Nick Van,
Byron.
Johnson Checker, Byron Wrecker. Who's your dark horse, Nick?
He's pretty good when it comes to NASCAR. You gotta, if
yeah, he's a big NASCAR head.
Between him and Kyle Westwood, man, those two, they're like competitors on the track. They're competitors. Their dark horse will be Reddick. Momentum is high. I agree with that. I mean, momentum is high, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. And I mean, you can't.
Another good.
It's basically a Hendrick car,
right?
I mean, so
another good one that is a possibility would be Nemechek. We saw
John Hunter.
Yep, he finished I think 8th in Daytona. So we'll see if he can pull off something there today. But yeah, I think we got some solid picks in here today.
And I'll also say I would look out for Colonel Custer. I think he's going to have a good run today.
So you're thinking the rookies are going to come through today, and
maybe
the breakthrough performance here today in these tough cars.
I think the rookies are going to shine today.
We'll see how it happens here. Thank you all for joining along with us on this Father's Day edition of Checkers and Wreckers. Again, happy Father's Day to all of you out there, each and every one of you. Take care.
Again, be sure to check us out on live streaming on YouTube now. We're stepping our game up.
YouTube, all the broadcasts are going to be multi-stream there. And
what's it under on YouTube?
BW Sports 1. Yep.
Okay.
So it's under BW Sports 1 on YouTube. You're on Facebook. Most of you watching there. So you know what we're at, Checkers and Wreckers there. So thank you again for joining along with us this week.
And what do we do on Father's Day, Tommy boy?
We relax. But we still drive fast, shift hard, and keep the rubber on the road. You didn't see that coming, did you?
No. I was like, what?
we relax. We put our feet up. We don't do anything. What? You're nuts. You're nuts. No, absolutely. Drive fast, shift hard, and keep the rubber on the road.